Hi, welcome back. I'm going to be going over some fragrances today that have a skin scent. I've done some talking about fragrances that are clean and soapy, musky, skin-like, but these to me sit in a class of their own as a truly second skin type fragrance. So I have 4 today. All of these are full bottles that I purchased myself. I've mentioned in other videos that I've never been given any PR or any gratuitous bottles of fragrance by any house. These are all fragrances that I bought myself with my own hard-earned money. So I do a lot of testing of these fragrances before I buy a full bottle. The testing I do can be at a department store, at a boutique. Under those circumstances, I will ask for a tester to go home. Sometimes I will spray it on my skin or let the sales associate spray it on my skin. Sometimes I don't. If I'm already wearing a fragrance, it won't smell right. If I'm warm, I think it'll mix with perspiration. So it really depends. What I try to do, though, is get those samples to take home and smell it another time. Another thing I do, and I've talked about this quite a bit, is I do get samples from different sample retailers. They don't just sell samples, but they do sell samples as well as full bottles. Those retailers are Lucky Scent, Twisted Lily, and Scent Split. Never had anything but extremely positive experiences with these retailers. I don't live near their stores, so I'm buying these online. They come quickly. They can come as quickly as you want. If you want to pay for expedited shipping, you certainly can. But I find this to be a much more cost-effective approach to spending my money on fragrance when I'm not near any locations where I can test a lot of these niche fragrances, which I prefer over most designer fragrances. I have done some blind buying, but I prefer not to do it. These fragrances can be pricey, as you know, and in this economy, I would rather be sure. I'd rather spend a few dollars on a sample. Usually they come in anywhere from $4 to $8, depending on the fragrance itself. But I find that to be worth it as opposed to a blind buy most of the time. So let's jump right into it. The first fragrance I want to talk about is Diptyque's L'eau Papier. This fragrance is an eau de toilette. It is 100 ml. It's got beautiful artwork through. This is the back of the fragrance bottle. And this is the front. Very cute. The bottle is simple, but sturdy. The top has the Diptyque name on it. And it's pretty basic, black and white and clear. I tested this and I fell in love. This fragrance is named after paper. This would be the most beautiful paper one could ever possibly imagine. I think what it means is like an emulsified, pulpy wood accord with some white florals in there. The white florals tend to dissipate, leaving you with a woody, pulpy, musky skin scent. That's what it does for me. Let's check out the notes because, as you know, I try to always let the fragrance make an impression on me exclusive of the notes. Afterwards, it's fun to compare what I get from it with the notes as listed by the house. So this fragrance has notes of mimosa and blonde wood. I definitely could see both. As this dries down, I get a little bit of a floral, high quality black pepper accord. I think I must be sensitive to that because it tends to come out in unusual places for me, like fragrances that have absolutely no indication whatsoever that they've got black pepper accords. I get that a little bit in this, but only in the most beautiful way. All right, moving on to Atelier de Ors, Nuda Veritas. Everyone likes to shake these bottles. They've got little specks of gold in there. Let's see. There you go. They're floating around. The top is cute too. It's got a little seahorse. I don't know if you can see that. It's adorable. Very high quality bottle. The top is, it feels like metal. I'm not sure if it is, but it pops into place. And this fragrance I tested out pretty extensively. I came across it by accident, or it's possible that Lucky Scent gifted it to me. When you get fragrances from them, whether it's in the form of testers or you buy a full bottle, they will give you a few samples. And you could tell them what samples you want and they'll try to get them for you, or they can guess based on your ordering history or just something they think you might like. I believe this one was a suggestion of theirs. I can't remember exactly, but I'm so glad I have it. This has a salty citrus oceanic smell. The citrus is mild. The oceanic accord is mild. The salt is prominent. This fragrance is absolutely wonderful. I never would have guessed. I haven't smelled anything quite like this. It's distinguishable. I mean, it definitely fits in the Your Skin But Better or oceanic category. I wouldn't say aquatic, but oceanic. I think it's that salt that makes it distinguishable relative to the ocean versus just aquatic. What I love about this is it's got a note called Kalone in it. There are other notes that are significant in here, but I had no idea what Kalone was. The fragrance notes in here are bergamot, orange blossom, jasmine, sambac, jasmine absolute, osmanthus, patchouli, marigold, ambroxan, musk, and moss. For some reason, the site I'm looking at for the notes does not list Kalone, so it's possible I've gotten that wrong, but I have seen other sites, I'm positive of it, where Kalone was mentioned. My understanding of that accord is it is synthetic. It is intended to create an aquatic feel to the fragrance, and this has it. But I think the addition of salt makes it not your typical Kalone. You definitely get the bergamot and a slight white floral going on. The challenge with this fragrance, which by the way is Eau de Parfum, and this is 100 mils. The challenge with this fragrance is it's a beast. It definitely projects and it lasts. Most skin scents, they sit close to the skin. Your Skin But Better, I just got out of the shower, I'm nice and clean. But this has more to it. It's more complex. On me, it just, my skin drinks it up and it becomes something entirely wonderful. And really, you can use it sparingly. I've used this quite a bit and you can see there isn't much of a dent in it. It's fun. Excellent stuff. The dry down is just as good. Let's give it a minute and see how it develops on the paper for the dry down. Next on the list is Histories de Parfum 1969. Did not expect for this to speak to me, but I tested it. I can't remember exactly why. It's possible that when I was looking at the fragrance notes and the write-up on a fragrance I was interested in, this popped up as you may also like. I think that's what happened. And then based on the notes, I got a tester and I fell in love. This fragrance is its own thing. Yeah. This is fun. This one, this has a spicy skin feel. This is someone who smells amazing naturally. This doesn't, it presents as something that doesn't come from a bottle, but maybe someone who was in a kitchen where a spicy meal was being cooked, or a spicy meal and a delicious dessert with cinnamon in it was being cooked. I suppose there's a hint of musk, but this is really gorgeous. To me, this borders on, in complexity, because it is very complex, this borders on a sheep. This changes. It changes on the paper as I'm smelling it, and it changes on my skin when I wear it. So let's check it out. This fragrance has fruit of the sun. I'm not sure what that is. I would not say it has a solar accord though. Peach, rose, white flowers, cardamom, clove, patchouli, chocolate, coffee, and white musk. Yes, to the latter of those in the list. Absolutely. This, by the way, is a 60 ml bottle. It is Eau de Parfum. I definitely get the cardamom for sure. Cardamom, clove, chocolate. There's a hint of that. I wouldn't call this a gourmand though. I think the musk balances it out and brings it to a very unique experience. I don't get peach. I don't get rose. I suppose there's a hint of white flower. Fruit of the sun. I gotta be honest. I don't know what it is. If you know, put it in the comments. It's possible. If I don't know what it is, how can I say that I'm not getting it? What I can say is it doesn't smell solar to me or ozonic in any way. Yeah, this is beautiful. Let's see how it dries down. This is great stuff. I smelled it and tested it, and I knew right away I had to have it. Histories de Parfums, 1969. Finally, this was one I tossed and turned on. I smelled it several different times. And the weird thing about this fragrance is every time I wear it, it is slightly different. I think it is very sensitive to body chemistry. And that is Heeley's Marin. Get up close for you on that. The top has, it's got carving in it that, you know, is meant to look like wood. I don't think it is wood. It's got the double E on the top. Very sturdy though. It's not magnetic, but it's definitely a sturdy bottle. It is pretty simple, but so is the fragrance. The fragrance is uncomplicated but extraordinary is how I'd describe it. Let's give it a smell. The first thing you get is fresh squeezed lemon and salt. Absolutely. If you go to a seafood restaurant and you squeeze lemon on a raw oyster or a raw clam and you smell it, this is it, but there's nothing fishy about it. Let me just be clear. Zero fish. Zero animalic note of any kind. This is salt and lemon, but it's salt from the sea. This is exactly what a beach walk in the summer should smell like. This is, oh God, this is addictive. There is something on a carnal, very basic human level that draws me to this. I cannot stop smelling it. It is exquisite. I've smelled a lot of aquatics, a lot of oceanic, a lot of, you know, ambergris-centric smells, and I've never gotten this. It is exactly what it calls itself. Ocean salt, Marin. This to me is the best of its genre I've ever experienced, hands down. Okay, so the notes for this fragrance are lemon, Sicilian bergamot, sea salt, seaweed, vetiver, birch, and cedar. Seaweed can be tricky. I don't get seaweed, at least not in any distinguishable way. This may be so well blended that you can't tell it from the greater part of the fragrance. If it's in there, it is, for me, impossible to detect. I think it could be expressed, if at all, as a layer of complexity to the lemon, the citrus, and the salt. The bergamot, yes, I guess I feel that a little bit in here, but you have to be looking for it. if you're not looking for these notes. And that's why I kind of feel like looking first is cheating. Yeah, I don't get any birch or cedar. Vetiver, perhaps. Very subtle. But this is amazing. The bottle is 100 ml, and I was on the fence because of the way it changes on my skin. The way it goes from being very citrus forward to very salty. But ultimately, it was something I couldn't stop thinking about. I became obsessed with this fragrance, and I absolutely had to have it. And I was like a child waiting for the delivery until it came. And then when I got it, I just lived in it for, I think, 2 days, just constantly spraying it. So it's delicious. It's delectable. It is the primal force that makes you want to eat things like salt and lemon. It's that salt around the glass of a margarita. It's the lemon wedge you put in a Mexican beer. I absolutely love it, and I don't know how I ever lived without it. That sounds weird. This fragrance also, if you sweat in it, and I knew this would happen, if you sweat in it, you smell better. It melts into your skin. It becomes a part of you. In case you have missed it, in case I haven't been crystal clear, this is not a fragrance. This is an obsession for me. I absolutely adore it. Okay. Let's go back. Trying to calm down. Let's go back and revisit the fragrances we started out with. Okay. L'eau Papier by Diptyque. How did it dry down? It dried down beautifully. It's got a bit of white floral, that pleasant woody pulp. It's just a little bit quieted down. Very nice. I've worn this, and it does sit close to the skin. It's an EDT, so that's consistent. I will say that among the EDTs I've had, this is strong. This performs to me like a very light eau de parfum, which is great. It is not too light that I considered not buying it. This was something I absolutely wanted as soon as I smelled it. Let me just get it better. There you go. Something I absolutely wanted as soon as I smelled it, and I love it. I'm glad I got it. My mother loved it. I bought her a bottle for Mother's Day. She lives in it. This is a very safe, easy reach. It is delightful. I highly recommend it. Moving on to Nuda Veritas and the dry down. I get more of that skin, the aquatic skin accords. Those are definitely here. Any citrus is subdued compared to those two. This is a very pretty skin scent, but again, if you buy this, don't overspray until you're sure of how it's going to react on your skin, because this is a powerhouse. This is not the only Atelier de Ors that I have. There's another, and I'll do a video on it. It's called Pink Me Up. It's adorable. That one is something of a powerhouse too. I wouldn't say beast mode, but it comes close. So this is fantastic. Very summery, very happy, bright, but wet. I love it. Next, moving on to Histories de Parfum, 1969. This dried down, and I think the clove becomes more prominent. The spices are enhanced, just like you'd expect. This is complex. I mentioned that I thought it had something of a sheep vibe to it. I still do. It wears a little closer to the skin than a fragrance that is a true sheep, but it's got that complexity like a sheep does. It doesn't have the notes that I think are required technically, I'm not sure, for a fragrance to rightfully call itself a sheep, but it's definitely complex, spicy. It develops, it changes on you. It's great stuff. I highly recommend it. And then finally, what else can I say about this one? I just want to live in it. Yep. This is it for me. I found my fragrance soulmate. I may say that again with another fragrance, but I won't mean it more. It just gets cleaner and juicier and cooler. Oh my gosh. You've got to try this. It's amazing. Anyway, before I embarrass myself any further with this fragrance, please check these out. They're wonderful fragrances. Try them first. Try them on paper. Try them on your skin. Nice warm weather out there in a lot of places. Take advantage. These are fragrances, with the exception of Histories de Parfum, where I think if you sweat, it's only going to enhance the fragrance. This one, I'm not sure. It could. I just haven't tried it yet. It's a little too spicy for that for me. But otherwise, these are fantastic for the warm weather. Check them out. And if you like the content, please like and subscribe. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of the day.